Do you like traveling?
Yes, I do like traveling.
How do you usually travel?
Well, I've traveled through various means in the last couple of years. I've traveled by air, I've traveled by road.
Where you have traveled to lately?
Well, lately I've visited Darwin and I've visited Adelaide.
Okay, so what kind of places do you like to visit?
I like to visit a place of nature, like where it's serene, like where there is a waterfall or where there are mountains. I like to visit those places because I like to be around nature.
Okay, great. So now I'll give you a topic and you'll have 1 minute to take some note. And then after 1 minute, you have to speak on this topic for 1 to 2 minutes. You need to describe an old person you admire. So are you ready? Let's start.
Yes. Since I came to Australia, I've met different people of interests because I enjoy meeting people. But one person that I've met that stood out for me is Mr. James. I met Mr. James at work. Well, I used to work as a personal carer when I first arrived in Australia. Mr. James happened to be one of my clients. He was a 65-year-old man. Is a, there are a lot of characteristics that I see in him which I like about him. He's very accommodating, he's intelligent, he tells the truth at all times. He's a very honest man and he's very clever. He has so many stories to share because he used to be a pilot before he retired. Well, I admire him because of his virtues. I see myself in him sometimes because we share some common grounds, and this was what made me to admire him. Mr. James is a very disciplined man. He's disciplined and is a man of his words. So all these attributes makes me to admire him. And he was a professional as well. He told me he shared some of his knowledge with me, and I realized we share some values and some beliefs. As a result of all these characteristics, I really admire him. So this is why I admire Mr. James.
Now let's move on to our next question. Whatever age is normal for retirement in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, I think the age 70 should be a good age to retire.
And why do you think that?
This is because there is more demand for people with experience in some particular areas of field.
So, what are the good things about being retired?
Well, there are a lot of good things about being retired. One of them is people have people are able to pursue some other passion which they really like. Some could be being passionate about traveling around the country where they live. At this point in time, some people rent a caravan and take on some adventure which they've almost wanted to do, but they couldn't do it because of their job. Another good thing about being retired is that you have time to focus on your personal business. Some people run some businesses which they could not manage, and they put other people in charge of it to manage it for them. But when they retire, they have all the time in the world to manage their own businesses and pay full attention to their business as well. Another good things about being retired is that most elderly people get to be around with their family. I mean, like their grandchildren or even their children. At this point in time, they spend time with the grandchildren and they get to teach them the cultures and the values of their families while they are growing up.
Great. So, how does the government in your country treat the retired people?
Well, the government of my country don't treat retiree very well. What I mean very well is that the, most of the time the government of my country defaults in the payment of allowances to retired servicemen and they are not well looked after. So another way, most government of other countries, of Western and developed countries, they put some retired people in nursing home and aged care where they are being looked after by professional. But the government of my countries don't even have a nursing home where retired people can go.
Okay. Can young specialists substitute the old ones who are in retirement in the workplace?
Yes, absolutely. Nowadays, presently, we live in a very sophisticated and technology world. So the young specialists are gradually taking over and they are discovering many other ways in which things can be done better. I strongly believe the young specialists are quite vast enough and also experienced in taking over the old ones in retirement in some workplaces where services can be delivered efficiently.
Great. So, what are the pros and cons of being retired?
Well, one of the pros of being retired is that it gives you time to pursue other ambition, other hobbies, and other things you've always wanted to do. The cons, on the other side, many people get sick and they die of depression when they're retired. They die quickly than expected. This is because they have nothing to do and usually they are idle. And you know how the saying goes, an idle mind or an idle hand is the devil's workshop. So when an individual is idle and not doing anything, they might end up committing some atrocity which is against the law. So these two, I think, are the pros and the cons of retirement.